The goal of this application is to demonstrate the use of the Azure OpenAI Assistance API. Now, the goal of the Assistance API is to simplify the development of generative AI applications. The Assistance API handles context, it handles scalability, and handles the execution of context against a large language model. Now, the goal of this application is to demonstrate the use of 3 tools that are supported by the Assistance API. It demonstrates the use of function calling, the code interpreter, which is a sandboxed Python execution environment, and file search, which is a hybrid search built as part of the Assistance API. Now, the front end for this application is built with Chainlit, and the code I've written is built with Python. So first thing we're going to show is go and click on the user icon. You can switch between light mode and dark mode. We're going to switch across to light mode. You'll see on the left-hand side, you can pop open the conversation history, and we can close it as well. Now, in the middle, you can see I've got some starters. In this case, I'm going to select on help, and the help is going to return back some context-sensitive examples of how to use this application against the Contoso Sales database. So you can see here what were the last quarter's revenue. And because it's using a large language model, I can ask help in multiple languages. In this case here, we're going to ask it in Dutch, and you'll see that it comes back with some prompts based here on Dutch, and you can do the whole demonstration in the language of your choice. What I'm going to do is click on New Chat, and we're going to select the second starter. In this case, the second starter was create a vivid pie chart of sales by region. What the large language model did is it generated me the appropriate SQL select command, which grabbed the data out of SQLite, passed that context across to the code interpreter. Remember, the code interpreter is a sandboxed Python environment. So you can see that there goes the Python that was executed to go and generate this pie chart. Okay, so the next question I'm going to ask is, what beginner-friendly tense does Contoso sell? Now, Contoso's sales database doesn't have any information about friendly tense for beginners, doesn't have that context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a data sheet, and I'm going to re-ask that question. Now, what's happening next is that data sheet's been uploaded to the Assistance API. The Assistance API is going to be responsible for vectorizing that document and then making that available for hybrid search. Now, we're going to have a quick look at the PDF that was uploaded. You can see it's just a product data sheet. We've got Trailmasters 4x tense. You can see its product type, the brand, and a brief description. And you can see the next tense here is the Alpine Explorer tense. Again, a brief description about that. So I'm now pop back to the assistant, and you can see now that the assistant has this additional data uploaded and it's been vectorized. It's now available for hybrid search. The assistant can now answer this question. Now, this document here was uploaded obviously in the context of this conversation. You probably normally have this context available as part of the application scope. But this makes for a nice demo that you can see from a user thread perspective. Okay, so the next question I'm going to ask is, show me sales of tents by region and include a brief description in the table about each tent. So you now appreciate that the large language model has a context that I've grabbed from the data from SQLite. So it's generated the SQL select, grabbed that data, and it's now got the PDF and vectorized format. It has that context, and you can see what it's going to do is generate me a table with the sales revenue as well as a brief description of the tents. You can see that coming back. Okay, the last demonstration is the last example of this, when this has stopped streaming through. Is I'm going to say create an Excel file of this because I want to be able to do some further analysis. So what's going to happen here, it's probably already got enough context without having to go back and query the database. and it's got the context obviously from that PDF document that I've uploaded. So what it's going to do now is generate the appropriate Python. It's going to run that against the code interpreter and create me a file in which I can download. Okay, you can see the code interpreter. You remember that as part of this demonstration, I'm seeing the chain of thought. Normally you wouldn't have this enabled, obviously for demonstration purposes to make it clear what's going on. You can see that what's been happening inside the code interpreter. Okay, so we just close the chain of thought, and you can see that here goes the file that's been created for me to download, opened up inside the browser, and I can now do deeper analysis inside of Excel in the web. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. The Assistants API, the goal of that is to simplify the development of generative AI applications. We saw 3 tools being used. We saw function calling happening there, where the large language model was dynamically generating SQL to go and query the database. We saw the code interpreter executing Python code generated by the large language model and taking context from the SQL data store and generating pie charts and Excel download files. And we saw file search. I was able to upload a PDF document, vectorize that document, and then made that available for hybrid search. Okay, so hopefully that makes, hopefully you understand what's going with that. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask.